Hello and welcome back to the On The Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why do we do this on a Friday night? Because Friday night is horror night. For my guest here from across the pond, but a bit further north, I'll explain that to you as to why that is. We used to have a channel called Channel 4, well, we still have a channel called Channel 4, but it doesn't do it anymore. So at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, they used to show all the classic horror movies when the watershed ended. So we used to get all the classic Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, House. House was awesome. So we put it out as a little tribute to that because that's growing up what me and the lads had every Friday. That was your free movie. Awesome times. Joking. Tonight we are joined by a man that has over 100 acting credits. He is an actor and a producer, Mr. C. Ernst Harth. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Um, yeah, as I said, thanks for taking the time out of your day to come on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I like talking about myself.
And I went and rewatched a film that you starred in uh, not so long ago when I reached out to you in 13 Ghosts.
hmm
And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna reach out and we'll go. I always loved that movie. It's just stuck with me since the first time I seen it. It was awesome.
The thing I think that made a big impression, even if people didn't realize it, is that the ghosts were all live action. Everything that you saw, nothing was CGI, nothing was created after the fact. So there's something to be said about seeing the actors like Matthew Lillard, Tony Shalhoub, when they confront a ghost, when they come around the corner and they see one of the monsters in front of them, they're actually seeing them in front of them. So just imagine you're running around and you come around a corner, and for the first time, you're seeing a 6'6", 500-pound baby with a bloody axe and puke running down his face. Your face is going to have a reaction to that, and you're going to see it. And I think there's something about seeing something rather than acting to like a stick or a tennis ball and saying this is where the monster is going to be, and so act scared. It's completely different when everybody's there in the room and it was so hot because that house was made of glass. There were like 2,500 panes of glass to make that house, and it took them like 2-3 months to make it. And because it was all reflective surface, you had to basically wash it out. You almost basically had to overlight the set so that you could like deal with the reflections. And because of that, it was so hot in there. So people were already worn down from the heat. And then to have all the creatures in there, and you're all in these small little hallways and everything, it was just very intensive. And I think that came across on the screen. Because, and if here's a nice fun drinking game for you. Next time you watch the film, every time you see the reflection of a crew member, take a drink. You know,
I'd
you
be dead.
you watch the film and you're so focused on the ghost and you're so focused on the action. But once you've seen it a few times and you can start looking around, you start seeing, oh, there's a grip over there on his hands and knees trying to stay out of the shot. And everyone was wearing black. All the crew members would wear black so they could sort of like blend
Blend
into
in
the
with the floor.
background. But every so often, there's that one crew member who completely forgot and wore a white T-shirt or something, and you could see them in the reflections or something. So that to me is always a fun little game, is spot the crew member hiding.
But
Yeah, yeah. So
it's
13 Ghosts was a fun one. My favorite thing with 13 Ghosts was Steve Beck, the director. He gave me, because the monsters don't really make noise. They don't really speak or talk. Uh, the one thing he told me, the great child, to be creepy, he says, whenever we see the great child, I want you to scream bloody murder, but I don't want you to open your mouth. So if you listen closely, whenever you see the great child on screen, you'll hear,
so you can hear noise all right.
yeah, you just can't see it.
Yeah.
And boy, I forgot how hard that was on me. But yeah, you can hear me like when you come around the corner and I'm standing at the end of the hallway with my mom next to me and I'm swinging my bloody axe. That's the sound you hear, is just, and it's so funny because when you watch the movie and you listen to the commentary of the director talking, he's describing the backstory of my character that was in place when we shot the film. And then when the DVD was released, they had the special extra features. And one is the Ghost Files, which is F. Murray Abraham telling the backstories of all the different ghosts with visuals and everything. And now it's a completely different backstory. So now I'm Jimbo and the circus strongman and my mother, and they had an affair and they had a baby, and I'm the baby, and then I killed. But when you watch the movie and listen to the commentary, it's a completely different backstory. So things just constantly changed to the point that when I first got cast in the film, I wasn't a baby. My character's name was Couch Potato, and I was a big, heavy guy who died while sitting on his couch. And I've got like holes and rats crawling in my eye socket and out of my mouth, and you see my shirt moving because the rats are crawling around underneath my shirt and everything. So that was the first script I had.
Hmm,
Then they
that might have
changed
worked.
it. Yeah. And then they changed it to I was like a John. I was like a trick of a dominatrix, and she was hanging off of me, and she's like in a leather bondage outfit, and she's hanging off the side of me, and she's like a little dwarf dominatrix, and I'm like the person that's gone to see her. And it's funny when you look at the Black Zodiac, the book that they have, and then there was also the Black Zodiac. The picture in the Black Zodiac looks more like that description. You see me, and I've got like leather, and my mother is like attached to me. It's so funny because so many of these things are created in pre-production, like the artwork for the Black Zodiac. So when I look back, I think, did they write? Did the artist create the drawings of the Black Zodiac based on that version of the script? And then by the time we shot the film, the storyline had changed because now I'm a big baby and she's my mother. But when you look at the Black Zodiac, there she is in what looks like leather gear hanging off the side of me. So it's I've got a stack of scripts in storage for 13 Ghosts. There must be probably 9 or 10 scripts, all written by different people. James Gunn wrote one version of 13 Ghosts. He had nothing to do with the final
Hmm.
film, but I think he was one of those, those people they bring in to clean up stuff. The ghost writers who they bring in to clean up the dialogue or clean up the action or to change this or
He,
that.
he went on to have a decent career, didn't
Yeah, I mean the film that I did shortly after, well, a couple of years after Scooby Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, he had written, and that was when I got to work with Matthew Lillard the second time, as I was minor 49er in that.
What a
And
legend.
yeah, and Matthew Lillard, talk about someone who commits to his roles. Doesn't matter how outlandish, doesn't matter how over the top the character is, he goes for it. And I think that's why the fans love him because
Very, very underappreciated actor too.
yeah, he never half-asses it. He always gives 100%, if not more. And yet he's so down to earth and such a nice guy. He has not been affected by fame at all. He still talks to all the fans at all the conventions, spends time, actually asks questions and talks to people. He doesn't just smile and, sign his thing and move on to the next person. He actually spends some time with each person. And that's what he's like at work. He talks to the extras, talks to the crew, hangs out on set, and that's the kind of people I like. People that no matter how long they've
Good,
been in this
good people.
business, yeah, how long they've worked, how many films they've done, they're just another part of the crew. There's no difference between them. And then you see the other people, and they're usually the people who've had like one successful film or one successful TV show under their belt, and they come to set and they're full of attitude, like they're what's the old saying, like they're like the Queen of England has come to set. It's like
Oh
everybody's
yeah, yeah.
expected to bow down to them and everything. And usually the majority of people don't even know who they are because their fame nowadays, especially, your fame usually comes in a very select group. Like you could have a show on some streaming channel and the fans of that show know who you are. To them you're famous, but outside of that one streaming channel, who are you? That's
You
what
could be
I
a
have.
nobody, yeah.
That's what I have found in 35 years is that, and my wife and I talk about this all the time. Everybody in this business is famous to somebody. It doesn't matter if nobody on the planet knows who you are. There's one person who knows who you are because you were in their favorite movie or you were in their favorite TV show, and they know everything about that movie, and they know everything about that TV show, and they know who you are. And it's always weird to encounter those people in the wild because you're just minding your business, going on with your day, just in an anonymity around with nobody around. Everybody's just living their life, and then all of a sudden somebody comes out of nowhere and they're like completely amazed that they're meeting you. And then you get the people around them like, who who's he talking to? What's the big deal? Who's he taking pictures of? Why is he getting an autograph? That's the fun part is
Is that
that,
someone famous?
yeah, I've had people ask me that. I've had people ask me that after someone has asked for my autograph, and then they walk away and they come up and they go, "Excuse me, are you someone famous? Should I ask you for my autograph? Should I ask you for your autograph?" And I always think, well, if you need to ask me,
Am I famous? Probably not.
no. But yeah, that's the thing with, like I said, with fandoms and with conventions and everything, you quickly realize that everybody is famous to somebody as far as, especially with the conventions I've seen. The most obscure film from the 80s, like you were mentioning some of the slasher films and what have you from the 80s. It could be a film that nobody even remembers, but somebody remembers it and somebody loved it and somebody was a fan of the people in that film. So, and when I see the listings for some of these conventions, it's like I don't recognize any of the names, but I know there are people that are super excited because even some of the shows that I was going to do this past year, I had fans telling me that they were booking their vacation time around my appearance at a convention and stuff like that. That's when
That
you
must be
realize that,
awesome, though.
well, it is awesome. Just like when people send you photos of tattoos and to see that, your face takes up a quarter of somebody's thigh, or, your face is on somebody's upper arm. It's like I'm in those films and I wouldn't do that. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you
sure.
you have to be a real big fan to get characters. And it's always weird when you're the actor because they see the character. I don't see the character. I just see me. It's like you got my face on you. You know, at least most of the other monsters in 13 Ghosts look like the creature they're supposed to be because they're all wearing prosthetic makeup. I'm the only
Yeah.
one who's not, I don't have any makeup other than body makeup. I'm just me. The only makeup that my character in 13 Ghosts is wearing is two small little appliances that they put over my eyebrows because I've been in this business long enough. I know you don't shave these things off because you have no guarantee when they're coming back. So I've learned long ago that you could shave everything on me off, but I ain't shaved my eyebrows. You're going to be putting something over those things. So that was the only
Hey,
applications I had in that film.
these bad boys are staying.
Yes, they're not coming off. You can
The
shave my
I mean,
head. I was gonna say on 13 Ghosts, the only part that stayed was my hair. I had a pretty good afro at the time when we were getting ready to do shooting. And then when they had finally decided on it being a baby, the great child, uh, they decided they needed to find a special hairdo, a special look for my character. And Steve Beck, the director, we were talking, and Shannon Elizabeth walks by, and he calls her over and says, "What do you think, the great child? What kind of hair should the baby have?" And she's, "Oh, what's that? You know what would be so good? Remember that character? It was a cartoon character in the 60s. He was like a big duck and he had a big diaper and he had like a big curl on his head." And Steve Beck says, "Baby Huey?" And she goes, "Yeah, Baby Huey. That would be a good look for the baby." And off to makeup I go. They shave off my afro. They just leave a tuft of hair in the front. They dye my hair from dark brown to platinum blonde. They put all the dye in there. So now for 3 months, every 3 days, I got to go back to the trailer to get my roots touched up because you could start seeing my roots. And for 3 months, I had to walk around looking like a poodle's ass because now I've got this little curl on my forehead, and people think when they watch the movie, they think, "Oh, that was probably just something that was applied to your head." It's like, no, I had to go home with that every day. And for the first month or so of the shoot, I was wearing baseball caps all the time and trying
I
to.
was gonna say you'd have hat on everywhere.
By the end of the
Look,
shoot, I'd be walking around with little barrettes in my hair, little clips in my hair. It's like
like
I've learned to
Tintin.
exactly. I learned to live like him, and um, the I did see somebody bought my underwear, which is that alone is a
That's weird.
bizarre sentence. But somebody bought my underwear, and then in the bottom corner of the frame, they have a tuft of hair, and they think that they have bought my hair from the movie, but in reality, all they've done is bought the tuft from the reshoots. Because when we did the reshoots, I said, I'll shave my hair for the reshoots, but I'm not going through the whole dyeing of the hair and the tuft and everything. You can just get some blonde hair and stick it on my head. So that's what they did. And funny enough, the reshoots, at the end of the movie, when you see all the ghosts, the house has exploded. The thing has done its big malfunction and everything at the end of the film, and the ghosts are walking out of the house, and you see us walking back into the woods like we've been freed of the cells that we're in.
Yeah.
uh that shot wasn't in the original film. That was a reshoot that we shot probably like a month or a couple months at the latest before the film was released. We went back, and the trivial part of it is that reshoot day was 9/11.
Oh,
So it
jeez.
was a very surreal day to be walking around in your underwear with a bib and puke and a bloody axe, and then they yell cut, and we all run over to the monitor, and we're watching what's happening with these two buildings in New York City, because a lot of the shooting crew, a lot of the people that were up in Vancouver shooting for that day had just flown up for the day, like the director and some of the executives and what have you had flown up for the day to shoot. And now we're trying to focus on shooting some of these reshoots for the film, but at the same time, nobody knows if they're able to go back home at the end of the day. I think it turned out that the director and a bunch of the other people they rented a car and drove back to LA because the
Mad.
planes, everything was shut down. But it was so surreal. So for me, 9/11 will always equate, sorry, um, doing reshoots for the film. And what a day to remember. So when that guy sees his underwear and my little tuft of hair that he bought, it wasn't from the film. It was just from that one day where I just refused to go through the whole process again.
People do buy random things, to be fair, and like I've always said it, and the lads will agree with me as well. And I'd say you might that the horror community is probably the closest knit community of any kind of fandom,
Oh yeah, for sure.
because like you mightn't like slashers, say, but you'll like paranormal. Uh, you could like, and there's so many different subgenres of horror, but you'll always appreciate horror. Like you won't just turn around and say, "Oh well, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, they're shite because it's a slasher movie." No, you'll appreciate what they've done for the genre. Like
Yeah,
I don't overly like possession movies, but I can appreciate what the likes of The Exorcist and stuff has done.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Like I remember growing up. I was probably much too young to have seen this, but it was at the dawn of the VHS era, when everybody all of a sudden was getting a VCR, and everybody was all of a sudden seeing films they'd never seen before because they never aired on TV. And all of a sudden you'd go to the video store. And I remember as a kid, the film that stuck out to me was a film called Dr. Butcher MD, which I think it was also called Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh,
And
I was
and
gonna say I
it's
know.
it's an Italian film, I think.
Yeah,
And
I
oh
know
my
it.
Lord, when I started as a child, when I started seeing them getting people's abdomens cut open and them ripping out their intestines and sucking on them and everything, my mind was blown, because this 9-year-old kid had never seen any. The closest thing I ever seen was, maybe Jason or something at that point in my life. And to see that kind of thing, that's when my world was expanded with horror films. And now that is tame compared to, even to compare that to something like Human Centipede. I mean, where you have to be in your brain to come up with that, and then
Awful,
to
awful
actually,
movie.
and well, the one that got me was it the second one or the third, the one where there was the
Prison.
whole chain of people around the prison yard. Oh my God, I can't even.
So, do you know what? I watched, and no offense to anybody that's in the movie, and if they're watching this, it's not my kind of movie. I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought it was meh. I don't see the fascination about it. Um, but like, there's people that obviously Cannibal Holocaust. I seen it years and years ago. I haven't seen it in a good number of years now, but I remember there was one part in it where they cut open the turtle.
Yes.
Yeah, and that stuck with me forever.
Well, I think that was a real turtle.
It was, yeah.
There was no fake nothing there.
But I remember hearing or reading about the director got arrested and taken to court, and he was being charged with murder because he had everyone sign fucking documents to go out of work for a while to make it
Yeah.
look real, and he had to get them to come out. And
No,
like that was sheer genius filmmaking.
yeah. And now you have all these, like you're saying about classification, different genres. You got the torture porn,
No,
and you
not for
know,
me.
not, I did uh, I helped out on a short film that was part of the ABCs of Death 2, and it
I've
was
seen
for
that.
the yeah, it was for the Soska sisters. They did a torture porn where some girl is brought into the audition room to audition for them, and they kept taking her clothes off and smacking her and doing all the things that they do in those type of things. And she finally gets back at them. I think some tentacles came out of her nether regions and started attacking all the dirty pervert guys in the room, and they all got their comeuppance. And I was one of the camera operators at the audition, so the tentacle came out and ripped the penis off the other camera operator, and then the tentacle came around and started shoving the penis into my mouth and everything.
It was again another no offense to you or the movie itself. It wasn't one that I overly enjoyed.
No, no,
Um,
I'll take the work, but I'm not always a fan of the stuff I'm in. That's for sure.
um, but like obviously, just finishing off on 13 Ghosts,
Yeah, yeah,
the design of every single ghost in that movie. Like obviously, we were saying that the fans still love it and they still want to obviously conventions and stuff. Like obviously you hear every so often it comes around and was like, how would you like to see a series on Netflix of 13 Ghosts with the backstory of all the ghosts? Like that would be top drawer.
and I think enough that meme has been sent around so much that now I think
There's talks of it, yeah.
somebody took that meme and went to Sony and said, "So, what do you think?" Because now the meme has become articles, and the articles I've seen, and I know this because in the last month I must have been tagged on over 100 posts from people. It's like as soon as they have a connection to that film and they come across something to do with that film, they immediately tag me on it, and it's like, wow, really? I hadn't heard anything other than the previous 99 messages that were sent to me. And they all want to know, so is it true? Is it true? You know as much as I know. Because, first of all, I doubt that the original Ghosts, and when I say original Ghosts, I mean of the remake, because we always forget that the 13 Ghosts that I'm in
Is
was
a
a
remake, yeah.
remake of the original one. So this would be a remake of the remake if they did make one. And I doubt they would want the ghosts from the one I'm in, because ghosts aren't supposed to age, and we're all a bunch of old people now. And they would probably want a bunch of young, flashy ghosts in this new one. But at the same time, if you're going to do a backstory episodes on all these different ghosts, it seems sort of redundant to have to like create new ghosts and then do backstories on the new ghosts. It's like it's you're creating a lot that you don't need to create. Just watch the original, watch the film we did, and then go watch the Ghost Files on YouTube or on the DVD features, and boom, there you go. There's your series, and you don't have to create a whole new series.
This is something that popped up and people were talking about it in one of the groups that I'm on, and I said that I says that you can pretty much see it. I'm pretty sure it's on one of the DVDs or the
Yeah.
Blu-rays or something. I was like, I'm
Now,
pretty sure I've seen it.
I agree. The film is lacking of more time spent on the backstories of. If they had just taken a snippet of each one of those ghost stories that's on that DVD extra and put it in the film, I think it would have fleshed it out a little more.
The house itself looked phenomenal, obviously with all the archaic writing and stuff
Oh
on it.
yeah, that was, in my opinion, having spent a lot of time in there and knowing that the thing actually worked as in the movie, the gears all worked, the thing shifted up and down and moved, and the production design. I truly believe that that house should have been nominated for an Oscar for production design. I know horror movies always they get forgotten about when it comes time to awards, but that was a production design.
That machine was real.
Yeah, everything you saw, the gears worked and everything. I mean, the whole thing, the whole house and everything didn't shift around like it is in the movie. But
oh yeah, but
when you saw something going up, nothing was CGI. The only thing that was CGI of that entire house was all the gears. When we're standing in that circle, the eye of hell thing there, and we're spinning around, and you have all those gears in the center. That's
oh yeah,
the
obviously
only
too
thing
dangerous to do that.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was added after. The reality was even scarier. Was a big hole in the studio floor, about a 10-foot drop, with a bunch of lights and fans blowing straight up at the ghosts as we stand there, arched backwards to look like there's some sort of forceful wind, and we're spinning around on this thing, knowing that if you lose your balance, you're going to fall in this pit, this 10-foot pit of fans and lights pointed up at you. And I remember saying to Ken Kersinger, who was the stunt coordinator, who a lot of
went on to be Jason.
I was just going to say, a lot of horror fans know him from Freddy vs. Jason. He was the stunt coordinator on 13 Ghosts, and I said to him, I said, I don't know, I'm feeling a little leery here. I said, like, if I lose my balance, what do you want me to do? I'm going to fall in this hole. And Ken says, fall back. So that was the big.
It's a good answer.
That was the big official. What do I do if I feel like I'm losing my balance? Fall back.
In ways, I actually feel kind of sorry for Ken Kersinger with getting Freddy versus Jason with all the hate that came with it.
Yeah.
Not that he got it; he wasn't bad in it. It was just the hate that came with it wasn't exactly on him. He's not going to turn it down.
No, and what about Brad Lorry, who played Michael? Does he get the same hate from that film as Ken does for playing Jason? I wonder.
Oh, see, I think it's a bit different, really, because Michael has been, 6 different people, 5 different people. Obviously, Nick Castles, Tom Morgan, Don
Jason,
Shanks, all along the way.
Everybody wants Kane Hodder, right? When it comes to Jason.
To be fair, he probably was the best Jason, and that's widely regarded. That's not just me. But I think what everyone wanted at that time was Robert and Kane to go one-on-one. Do you know that kind of way? Well, but don't get me wrong, they'd already starred in the movie together beforehand. Do you know what I mean? They'd starred in The Wishmaster. And a lot of people forget that it's not the first time they were due to be on screen together. But
the film was about the characters, not about the actors. And the fans sometimes have a hard time separating the two. You know, the character is the actor. And, you know, I mean, no one knows that better than Jackie Earle Haley.
I know where this conversation's going.
No one knows that more than trying to create an original character when you have the character that was created by Robert Englund is so unique that trying to differ that at all, if he had made any other movie and named the character anything else, and just allowed him to be a creepy guy, you know, that's fine. But you can't just reinvent a character that has had that many films and that many versions and expect everyone to just play along. I mean, even the new Jason, it's still a big guy with a mask on, you know.
So you kind of got away with them a bit more, but like I always maintain, and I've said on multiple shows, that Freddy was the slasher that saved slashers
Mm,
because he was so different.
yeah,
But like you couldn't have had a different Freddy from Robert Englund to say, I don't know, say Kevin Bacon, to be honest, like just picking
yeah,
out a name
yeah,
in the second one, say,
yeah,
because it'll start to dilute down. Robert was so perfect.
yeah.
Um,
And so much of the original Freddy was a lot of tongue in cheek. It was almost as much a comedy as it was
yeah,
a horror film. I mean, like with the tongue coming out of the phone and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you could tell they were having fun. And by the time they got to the new version with Jackie Earle Haley, now they're trying to make a serious horror film, and it was never a serious horror film to start with.
it
It
was.
was
I'll
all
tell you what, though. To be fair to the movie, well, the movie was trash, out and out trash. From like the acting was fine in it. I felt the design of Freddy was terrible.
yeah,
Um, but there was some really good one-liners in it. Like the one when he has your man hanging up, and he's like, after your heart stops beating, your brain keeps functioning for 7 minutes. We got 6 minutes to play. I was like, that's genius. But like, yeah, that's it is what it is. The movie,
Well, and that's what I mean about the 13 Ghosts. If they are doing a TV series of the backstories of the ghosts, you either have the ghosts that everybody are familiar with, or what's the point?
yeah. So yeah,
Create a whole new story, create a whole new everything. You know, it's this constant need to look backwards and to continue building upon stuff. It's like there was Gone with the Wind in 1939. They didn't feel the need to rush out with Gone with the Wind 2 the next year and Gone with the Wind 3 the year after that. I mean, yes, they eventually did a sequel to Gone with the Wind, but I think it was in the 80s and it was on TV and there was no point. It was, I think it was called Scarlet or whatever. But, you know, I always think of this: why not remake the bad movies? Why remake the good movies? If you want to see the good movie, you just go watch the movie. It already exists. You know,
uh,
but why remake the bad movies, the ones that didn't work the first time? Go fix those
yeah. Or
and
one
leave
now
them.
where or ones where it was okay, but now you're gonna get a bigger budget.
Yeah. And
But
then what that does is it takes the movie that was perfectly fine and now puts the focus on the special effects. It puts the focus on the things that they didn't have the money for. As much as everybody loved the original 3 Star Wars, as soon as you had better technology, people started nitpicking. And I think that's one reason why George Lucas went back and used the new technology to clean up things rather than leaving them as they were, because it had its own personality. There's something about knowing that something is a puppet, or knowing that something, you know, I don't know. I think you can over CG things to the point where you take all the life out of it. And I think that happens with a lot of films nowadays. It's like, it's just a guy standing on a green screen and the entire world around him doesn't exist. And, you know, so the bomb is coming. Big deal. It's not a real bomb, it's a drawing. In the old days, you'd see a film when stuff was falling down around the person. You knew that stuff was falling down around the person.
lads up on the rafters dropping buckets and everything. Now,
And that, like I said, that goes back to what I said about 13 Ghosts. When the monsters are standing, when the ghosts are standing in front of the actors are reacting to something. There's an actual monster in front of them. There's a woman with her head in stocks. There's a guy with a cage on his head come screaming after you. You can't fake that. That's scary as hell. And
Right.
what they did a lot on that film is they separated us a lot. So you had this tent over here was like ghost land, and that's where we all hung out. And we had all our makeup people in there and everything. And then over here you had the director's chairs and what have you, and you had the actors sitting in there. And we didn't really, a lot of people say, what was it like to work with Matthew? What was it like to work with F. Murray Abraham? What was it like to work with Tony Shalhoub? Well, the reality was we didn't really do anything with them. We hung around as a unit, and then they would cross paths with us on set or on the way to set. We'd see them at the craft service table as we're making a sandwich or something. But the reality was, it was like two separate movies. It was all the ghost stuff, and then occasionally there would be a shot where they come into frame, or we come into frame, and there's the shot of the two of us. But for the most part, the ghosts hung out with the ghosts, and that's why when you I mentioned this before to someone else, when you look at an interview in Fangoria magazine that came out at the time, and Matthew Lillard says, I had to stop going to the lunch tent because the great child was making me sick. I couldn't eat my lunch. You can't sit there and eat lunch, and every time you look up, there's a guy with puke running down his face is sitting in front of you. You know, you know, because I don't take that stuff off. We don't take our makeup off to go eat lunch, right? So,
No, why would you? You're sitting another couple of hours getting ready again.
yeah. I mean, I think the closest was maybe Shane, who played Jackal. I think maybe he took his cage off when we were on downtime. But even then, it was everything is such an ordeal that once you're in, you're in.
You're
When I
in
did
for the day.
when I did Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed as Minor 49er, I had 6.5 hours, almost like 6 hours of makeup and then 2 hours of wardrobe. So it was like 8 hours every day just to get made up. And
No,
so you can't do it.
no.
I sit in the makeup chair for 6 hours, and I'd show up. Say if the day started at 7 a.m., I'd show up about 2 a.m. It would just be me, the makeup person, and some PA that let us into the studio lot. And we'd just sit there and start to create Minor 49er. And then once I had the makeup on, and then the wig and the beard and the mustache, then the hands, then I had these big contacts that were huge, covered my whole eyeball. Then it took 2 hours after that to then put on. I had a cooling outfit that ran liquid ice up and down my body to keep me cool. Then I had just lost 200 pounds. I was 598 on 13 Ghosts. I lost 200 pounds. And then by the time we shot Scooby Doo 2, I was 200 pounds smaller. So the first thing they did was they built me a fat suit. So
Oh, Jesus.
you can't win in this. It's like, well, I'm glad you look good, but we want that guy. So they built me a fat suit. So the fat suit went over the cooling suit. Then there was like the base layer of the costume. Then there were pants. Then there was a fiber optics in my pants. There was a smoke machine that rested between my crotch. There was the jacket. Then there was a vest. Then another thing that went over that. Then I had a full-size hat that had a functioning lantern in it. And so I had all this, and then I had to put the teeth in, bottom and top. And my wife, who would come to set with me a lot, she said by the time I was fully into Minor 49er makeup, the only part of her husband that was left was a pinhole in the center of each eye. And she would just sit there and stare into those little holes, trying to find her husband. Go, there you are. Okay, have fun on set. I'll see you later. And then off I'd go as Minor 49er.
She done the hook, did she? Oh, there you are, Peter.
Yes. And she was like my assistant on set because I couldn't fit in any of the director's chairs because my outfit was so big. So I had a team of people that basically carried apple boxes around and piled up like 6 apple boxes behind me, and I'd have to sit on those when I wasn't working because I had so much. I couldn't fit in my trailer once I left for the day. I couldn't get back in my trailer till I was out of everything. I couldn't fit in. So, and if I had to go, say I had to go I had to go to the washroom. That's 45 minutes of shutdown of the production because they got to get me out of it enough that I can go to the bathroom. Then when I get to the bathroom, at the studio, I couldn't fit in the stall. So I'm basically reload. I'm in the middle of the bathroom going, I hope I got good aim because that's as close as I'm getting. Okay, back to set.
Fire!
So I'm sorry to the people who had to clean the studio bathrooms, but I didn't build the suit. And then they keep feeding you water because they think you're getting overheated, and it's like you're not doing me any favors by constantly giving me all this water because the water's got to go somewhere, and I don't want to have to shut down production again for 45 minutes while I go to the washroom. So I ended up having.
Next, they'll tell you need to get a catheter done.
Oh my God, that was no, thank you. It would have been easier, but at the same time, no, thank you. What I ended up doing was I'd have these, call them pepperettes. They're like little sausage sticks. It's basically like a salt stick, So I would basically just suck on those things all day to get my salt intake, and then I pile back probably 4 or 5 bottles of Gatorade at the end of the day when they were taking my makeup off. But that was an ordeal, that show. And then on top of that, my character was like bow-legged, and because I'm not bow-legged, I had to basically put myself in that position, and then had to like stay there all day and like walk and run in this bow-legged position. It's like, as an actor, if you create something at the beginning of that film, you better be prepared to stick with it for the rest of the film. It's like when you see an actor in a scene and they're doing a master shot and they yell action and he just starts wolfing down the pasta. You're like, well, you better be ready to eat that pasta for the rest of the day, because now you established that you're sitting back there wolfing down pasta. So now for every time we cut to a different actor for their shot, you got to be back there. So whenever you get into what's that?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, whenever you get into a shot where there's food involved, if you're a smart actor who's done this long enough, take some food, put it on your plate, make it look like you just finished eating, put the fork over there, put the knife over there, and then don't worry about the food for the rest of the day. But if you're a young, ambitious actor, like I did a film in '96 called Excess Baggage with Christopher Walken, Benicio del Toro, and Alicia Silverstone. And our characters are a bunch of truck drivers that are eating breakfast at the Greasy Spoon, where Christopher Walken and Alicia Silverstone show up, and they bring out these big plates of breakfast with bacon and eggs and hash browns and everything. And being the young, ambitious actor and being just loving the fact that I'm getting to work with Christopher Walken for 6 days, and I'm on set, I got breakfast, free food put in front of me. As soon as they yelled action, I just went to town and I was eating the bacon and the eggs and everything. And after a few takes, the set dresser comes over and says, Ernst, just because we have a lot of bacon doesn't mean you have to eat it all. And then yeah. And then around the second day, and because this scene carried on, this big long scene, it took us 6 days to shoot it. So it was like 6 days of breakfast. And around the afternoon of the second day, the set dresser says, okay, well, you've eaten me out of bacon. We've had to switch to breakfast sausages. So for me, once again, like I was saying about the drinking game with 13 Ghosts and looking for the crew members, for me, it's watching me in that movie, because every time they cut to me, is it going to be bacon or is it going to be sausage? Is it going to be bacon or is it going to be sausage? Because the way things eventually get pieced together, you don't know at what point in the shoot the shot is from. So I'm either eating bacon or eating sausage. And because I'm just a side character, nobody's paying attention to me, really. Nobody knows to look for that except me, who knows that, that's the point they ran out of bacon and I had to start eating sausage. And so those are the things that once you've been in the business long enough, you realize, yeah, unless I plan on eating constantly for 6 days, I'm gonna
Fake
just
it.
gonna put some remnants of food on my plate, put the fork over there, the knife over there. I'm done. And now
Yeah,
I have to shove the food down for the entire day. That's what.
I wouldn't mind that you brought up Scooby Doo 2 there. So myself and my 7-year-old watched it there a couple of months ago. He watched it for the first time, and Minor 49 is his favorite character in it.
Oh, really?
Well,
Well,
he's
you'll
a
have.
favorite ghost.
Well, when we're done here, you'll have to give me your address, and I'll put together. I'll sign a photo for him of Minor 49er.
Oh, awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
He,
I've done two Scooby Doo films, and it was fun because I did Minor 49er and Scooby Doo 2, and then the next one, the third one, was
there's
they
a
took.
third one.
Yeah, there's a third and a fourth, different actors. What they did
Oh,
was they went back to high school to show how Mystery Inc. was formed, how they came together. So they have different actors. They have high school age actors playing the different characters. They have Scooby again, but this time instead of it being Neil Fanning, who did the voice for the first two Scooby Doo films, they went back to Frank Welker, who did Scooby in the
the
cartoons,
cartoon.
and he does them. And I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I like Neil Fanning's Scooby Doo. It was so much. Just had a different take on Scooby Doo in the two Scooby Doo films. He added so much life to it, and I don't know. Being an Australian, there's just a little different twang to the way the voice comes out, I guess. But in the third one, I got to play the janitor at the high school, who they think is the evil is the bad guy, but I'm like the red herring for the episode. I'm not really the bad guy. They think I'm the villain, and it turns out that I'm just a janitor who loves dancing, and so I auditioned for some dancing contests, and they have a whole scene of me dancing and everything. And it was nice to be in Scooby Doo 2 as one of the ghosts, and then to be in Scooby Doo 3 as a human. And I think I'm the only person who's in both variations of the Scooby Doo series. So that's always fun. I got to work with two different Scooby Doos, even though I didn't work with any Scooby Doo. There was never any Scooby Doo on set. It was just a tennis ball. This is where Scooby will be. Like on Scooby Doo 2, the one you saw, for example, when we're in the big monster hive and Scooby Doo decides he's going to surf on the fire extinguisher, which is turning the black ghost, the what is he, the tar monster, turns him into, he hardens the tar monster so that he can surf on him around the room on this fire extinguisher. Okay, it's so weird explaining these things sometimes, but in reality, you have us actors standing there, and you have the special effects guy with, we're basically well-paid kitty cats, because he's got a red laser pen, and he's basically going, okay, now Scooby is going to, when follow the red light, he's going to go up here, and then he's going to scoot down here, and then he's going to slide past over here, and so they're basically taking this laser pen like you're a kitten, and they're pointing it around, and they go, okay, now action. And then we watch the light. Oh, there's the light. Where's the light? Oh, there's the light. There's the, and cut. And we could have been there. So I would have been in 6 hours of makeup, 2 hours of wardrobe, get the set. I've already been there for 8 hours. And now another 12 hours of follow the light, follow the light, follow the light. And then you wait while there's like 2 hours of setup for the next shot. And then follow the light, follow the light. And then you go home. And then once you see the film, you realize that entire day equaled like 2 seconds of film time, and that's when you realize how much is involved in these things. Like the amount of times that I was in and out of that makeup for seconds of film is just crazy. But I'll take it, because from my first makeup test to my last shot, which was on second unit, was like 7 months. you know I was
Oh,
already working on the film for 2 months before they'd even shot one reel of film because of all of the concepts and all of the production meetings, all the meetings. Makeup designs changed 3 or 4 times. I had all these different makeup tests. Plus, in that movie, when they're at the Coolsville Museum at the beginning of the film, and you see all of the different costumes of all the different ghosts that they've revealed over the years, those were actually in the film. All of those ghosts that you saw in the museum at one point were going to be in the film. So they had hired actors to play Chickenstein. They had hired actors to play Redbeard's ghost. They had hired actors and they had all the makeups for all those different ghosts. But as production went on, I think they decided it was either going to be too much money, or I don't know what the studio finally came down to, but eventually they just decided to go CGI. So the cotton candy glob, the tar monster, the thousandfold ghost, or whatever he's called, all these different ghosts they're basically created after the fact, and all the actors that were supposed to play all these different monsters were let go after 3 or 4 stages of makeup tests. And it was fun because for me, we would do the one test, and then we'd find out it was like being on Pop Idol, or X Factor or something. It was like, okay, today there are 12 ghosts. Tomorrow there'll only be 8 ghosts. Which 3 are going home? It was like one of those kind of deals. And so it's like, yes, I'm in this big film. And then they go in the next day, I'm not in this film anymore.
damn it.
And so every one of these makeup tests, it was like another person got cut, another person got cut. And Redbeard's ghost, one of his things was he breathed fire. Well, when they decided to get rid of his ghost, they're like, well, we like that whole fire breathing gag. And so they're like, well, why don't we give the fire breathing to Minor 49er? But what does Minor 49er have to do with breathing fire? It doesn't matter. It's a cool gag. We like it. Give it to
We're
Ernst.
going with it.
Yeah. So in the film, they had already had designed his boat, his ship, Redbeard's ghosts, the ship of Redbeard. So he was supposed to come riding into town on his ship. Well, once they got rid of Redbeard's ghost, they still liked the idea of the boat, of the ship coming into town. But Redbeard's ghost is not in the film anymore. I know, we'll stick the evil masked figure up on his ship, and now the ship will come into town with the evil masked figure on it. Why? Because we already have the ship designed and we like the way it looks. We'll throw the evil masked figure on there and away we go. And it's like, you accept the film for what it is when you see it, but when you don't know all of the back and forths and all the stuff they took out and all the stuff they added beforehand, it's just crazy. Once again, like with 13 Ghosts, I have a stack of Scooby Doo scripts at home of all these different versions of all the film and what we were going to do and not do. And to me, that's always the biggest thing with all these films, is the stuff that nobody knows about, is all the back and forth and all of the versions that could have been. And I'm so glad that I got to be a part of that film, because growing up, Scooby Doo was such a presence, just pop culture alone. So when I heard that they were doing a movie, and then I found out that it was going to be shot in Australia when they did the first Scooby Doo, I was like, damn. And then all of a sudden I hear they're doing a sequel and they're going to be shooting it in Vancouver. I was like, oh man, that'd be so awesome to get part of that. And then to get an audition for Minor 49er, it's like, man, I'm going to just go for it. I'm just going to go full out. And in the audition, I'll get you, you varmint. And I was like, I was just full Minor 49er. Forget the makeup. I just went for it. And with each makeup test, I just gave full 100% performance with each test. A lot of the other ghosts and a lot of the other actors were like, they were like 50%. They were just like going through the motions, thinking that, well, they just want to see what the makeup looks on screen, and they weren't really giving the performance. Whereas I was always giving 100%. So they were always seeing what Minor 49er could be. It wasn't just, even though they call it a makeup test, they want to see the character come alive. They don't want to just see the makeup. And a lot of actors haven't learned that if you just act the way you would normally act, you're going to get lost in the makeup. The makeup's going to swallow you up because all of a sudden, if you're making if you're scared, you can't just be scared. You have to you have to be scared because you have to act through the makeup, right? You know, you can't just be happy. You have to be happy, you know. And a lot of actors they just get lost in the makeup. And that's a good thing about having done so many makeup jobs over the years is that you learn prosthetic acting. You get to learn like an actor like Doug Jones. I think is that his name? Doug Jones, who does all the
Yeah.
different creatures. He's perfected it so much so that they don't even I don't even think they even have to audition. They just get Doug for this. He's the
Yeah.
guy.
We need this alien plane. Dogs up.
Yeah. And he needs to be like super tall and skinny and look like it's not even possible for a human to be that skinny. Yes, get Doug. You know, it's like there's certain actors, and it always blows me away when thing comes to town now, and it's like, how come they're not hiring me anymore? And my wife always has to remind me, well, you are in your mid 50s now. There's people 30 years younger because it doesn't matter how old the character is on the outside, you know, they still need somebody to be able to go through that hell on the inside. And there's a great knowing. The last film I did was Crawlspace, and that was with Henry Thomas, and I shot that 2 years ago. And the hell that I went through on that film, all the fight scenes and all the crawling on my hands and knees in an actual crawl space of a house, that's when I quickly realized that okay, I'm not the youthful, agile guy that I was when I shot those movies. I don't think I could do Minor 49er nowadays. I didn't even think I could do. I don't even think I could do The Great Child because it was just so hot, and it was just like it took everything out of me. And you go, well, you're not doing anything in that film. You're just standing there looking scary.
That's worse.
Yeah, well, like I said, the heat was just so hot. Plus, I was dealing with some medical issues at the time, and I wasn't in a very good mood, so it was just a hard film all around. And you know, then the problem was they on 13 Ghosts they would have the 12 people playing the ghosts, so we would be all through the makeup, all through the process, and then there's all the 20 makeup people or whatever that are responsible for getting us ready, and then they'd get us to set, and now we're sitting there and we're slowly melting and we're slowly becoming hotter because now we're waiting for the actors, and it's like, well, we're waiting for so and so to get their line right. And you know, you're always like, why are you putting us in on the same day as the actors? Why don't you just have days where it's nothing but the makeup? Because you're waiting while they get their shots, they get their lines together. And in the meantime, us 12 over here with all the prosthetic makeup are just getting hotter and hotter, and they have to constantly re-glue and reattach your face pieces and everything, and all the ghosts are becoming wilted and everything. And that's usually when they bring you in for your close-up. You know, when you've been sitting there for 9 hours. The worst part would be after 15, after 15 hours, an AD, an assistant director, will pop his head in the tent and go, "Hi, I'm sorry, guys. It looks like we're just not going to get to you guys today." And then off goes the 12 ghosts and the 20 people that work with them back to the trailers to take everything off. And it's just like, what a waste of money and what a waste of time. You just
I mean,
killed
you're getting
us.
paid for it, so
Yeah, but still, the way I look at it is think of the creativity that was just wasted. All of these talented artists created all this work,
and
put
you're
it
not
out
getting to it.
there, and then we're just going to scrap it and start over the next day. And that just gets, even though you understand the business and even though you're getting paid, like you said, it's still just, it starts to wear on you. And when that happens day after day after day of just sitting there melting in these outfits, you know, and they can't have the air conditioning on because the air conditioning. So when they're shooting, they have to turn everything off. So now you're just like waiting for them to finish their take so they can put the air conditioning back on in the studio. It's just, all the things you don't see when you watch in the movie, you just see the scary ghosts. You don't see the wilting actor inside the makeup.
I'm so tired and hot and warm and sticky.
I don't want to be here anymore. And then the
Uh,
worst of it all for me, like I said, I was 598 pounds at that time. And it's always frustrating when they hire you for your size, but then they don't facilitate that. And what I mean is at the end of the day, they said, don't worry, guys. We know you've got all this body makeup on and everything, but we're bringing in a trailer that has showers. So they brought in this big trailer with showers in it so that we could take a shower at the end of the day and get all of this off so we could go home fresh and be a human being again. And I'd go in the trailer, and well, the best way to describe this is once I got into the shower, there was either enough room for me or the water. There
Stuck
was
to the
no
walls.
room. There was no room for both. It's like, okay, I can fit in here, but I can't lift my arms because my arms are pressed up against the side of the shower. I can turn the water on if I get someone to come in here and wedge their hand between my one of my rolls and squeeze through and maybe turn the tap on for me. It's just so demeaning. It's like it takes away all your desire to live. You're just sitting there after 15 16 20 hours, and now you can't even take a shower, so now you got to go home dressed as the great child. And so they would take little baby wipes and try and get some of it off my face and everything. And then I'd get in a cab or I'd take public transit if it was still early enough. It's so pathetic. And that's when you see the glitz and the glamour of the industry. It's gone. And now I'm just some guy in full body makeup on the public transit, just trying to get home so I can take a shower.
Stinking the place up.
Yeah, plus I got, 3 layers of body makeup on. I still have like airbrushed veins all over me, and my face is a little bit wiped off, so I got some of the makeup off. But now I just look like a sickly homeless person with cancer or something, and
Jesus.
and my blonde tufted hair in the middle of all this, and that's when you're like, boy, I feel like a movie star. You don't even get a
Jeez.
ride home. You got to get yourself home, and it's like that's the thing when you're hired in the town that they're shooting in, you're referred to as a local hire, and it doesn't matter the size of your role. It doesn't matter if you're the third lead in the film. You weren't brought to town with the other lead actors. You were hired here. You're a local hire, which means be happy you're working. And and if you complain to your agent, you'll usually get, it's better than digging ditches. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me when I'm in makeup on the bus and I'm sweating and I'm stinking and I just want to get home. It's like, you know, after a while, you just have to learn to enjoy the fact that you're in this business and you're getting to do what you wanted, which was playing dress up and acting the fool and getting paid for it, and stop feeling. It was bizarre on that film too, because you had people like Raw Digga, who was a rapper, and I think this was the first film that she was in. She played the nanny, and she would be outside the trailers, outside the studio, and I'd see her the one day, and she had a measuring tape, and she was measuring the distance from the exit door of the studio to her trailer, and then she's measuring the exit door to one of the other actors' trailers, and then she's measuring the length of her trailer, and then she's measuring the length of other people's trailer. And you start seeing stuff like this on films, where people are consumed with who's got the bigger trailer, who's further away from the studio, who has a satellite dish, who doesn't have a satellite dish.
But you
You're
know
all
what?
hung up.
Time has absolutely flown by on this episode. So what I would say, maybe in a couple of weeks we'll get you back on and we'll do another one to catch up on some of the other movies.
And have the rest of the boys, have the rest of your
Yeah,
team.
I'll assemble. We'll do the Avengers assemble scene, and I'll get them to drop back in through
We
Doctor Strange's fucking.
could talk about the other 98 films.
But have you anything upcoming that you want to promote before we finish up?
Like I said, I was ready to do a bunch of conventions this year, and I had to drop out of them. So I have I have all my convention photos available. And what I've been doing is I've been making them available online. So if anybody was hoping to see me or would like to have seen me at a convention this year, they can go to my Facebook page, and pinned right up at the top, I have all my convention photos that I would have been selling. It's $30 Canadian. That includes me signing it and getting it to you. For anybody overseas, it's $10 shipping, but that's just for the first picture, and then anything beyond that, it's just all put in the same package, so you don't have to worry about shipping costs beyond the first one. But I've got 13 ghosts. Um, I've got 13 Ghosts. I've got Scooby Doo. I've got the X-Files. I was in Postmodern Prometheus, the black and white episode, so I have an 8x10 still of me in that. I
Good episode,
have
that.
me. I have me as Bonzo, the zombie clown from Dead Rising Watchtower. Uh, I've got me as the ogre from Once Upon a Time, the really great makeup, a nice big 8x10 of my makeup from. I actually did 3 episodes of Once Upon a Time, and I played 3 different. I think I'm the only actor who has played 3 different characters on that series, because I got hired to play the ogre and his Storybrooke uh, alter ego, which was the maintenance man at City Hall. But then, so I did 2 episodes in the first season, and then they told me, "Don't worry, next season there's going to be the Ogre Wars, and you're going to be doing a lot more work." And then over the course of the summer, they decided to go CGI. Damn you, CGI! Uh, this always happens to me. And so the ogre all of a sudden was going to be CGI, and
Patsy J. Patsy J.
CGI. And so then I said to them, "Well, now what? Can I come back as something else?" So I decided to change my look, and now I grew a beard, and let my hair grow so that I look completely different. And next thing you know, they're bringing me in to play Jorge Garcia's brother. He was Tiny the Giant, and I played his brother Abraham the Giant, who made fun of the fact that he was tiny. And so I got to come back in the second season. So
It was a
I'm
good
one
show,
of the
though.
only, yeah, it was a good show, and I was so looking forward to being a recurring character on that, and still got to do 3 episodes. So I have photos from that show, and I um I have 9 in total. I have a great one. Neil Fraser, an artist from Scotland. I commissioned him to do my banner for the conventions, and then he also did an 8x10 version of my banner, which is me with 10 of my unusual personalities, 10 of my characters, because I also played Asterix in the last 2 Asterix and Obelix films. So uh, there's
Didn't
a
even know they
picture.
made an Asterix and Obelix movies.
Yeah, big
I
80
thought they were
million dollar,
cartoons.
big $80 million, looked like Pixar film. Beautiful animated, computer animated films. And I played
Oh,
Obelix
so
in the last
it
2.
is the cartoons.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
It
no,
was.
sorry. I thought you meant it was a real one. I was like, didn't know they made a real one.
Well, there is a new live version on Netflix, a new live action one I just saw. So, but not the ones with what's his face, the big stinky fat French guy,
I don't know.
Gerard Depardieu. Not with him. These are a new version. But yeah, no, the 2 I did were animated. It was Asterix, Mansions of the Gods, and the Secret of the Secret of the Magic Potion. I played Obelix in those 2. So Obelix is on this,
Oh,
and then 9 other characters I've played over the years. So I've got a whole bunch of them, and it's $30. If anyone's interested, they can go on my Facebook page and see the photos, and I will sign them however you'd like me to sign them, and I'll send them off to you. It's $30 Canadian and $10 for shipping. And if you order 5 photos, it's still only $10 for shipping. And like I said, the last thing I did was Crawlspace, which is on Netflix around the world, except in North America, it's on Paramount Plus. And I
crawl space.
Crawlspace with Henry Thomas, who played Elliot in E.T. So if you've ever wanted to see the great child beat the living crap out of Elliot from E.T.,
Yes.
watch Crawlspace. I'll tell you, the action is so good, my shoulder's still busted up.
Um, awesome. Well, as I says, I will put all the links down there for you anyway,
Thank you.
in the description below. And it was been an absolute pleasure. I didn't realize how long we'd even been here. It only felt like about 10 minutes.
Oh, well, that's fine. It's
Uh,
it's always fun to have a good talk with someone.
and absolutely, we'll have you back if you're happy enough to come back.
Yeah, no problem.
But
And
what we'll do is go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say you can do your you can do your Avengers and bring the team back together, and then we'll do a part two.
Fucking Doctor Strange, stupid character, stupid character. But what I'll do is I'll finish this the way I finish every Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. In the words of the great George A. Romero, stay scared.